for my crazy day. My packed commute, all those unread emails in my inbox. But I'm getting stronger, faster, and pushing myself further every day. I don't care if I'm not like everyone else. This punching bag is the best way to end my day. Whew.
Fearless is knowing yoga isn't your style. That's the power of the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Federal Employee Program. Learn more about our healthy benefits at fepblue.org/getmore.
Welcome to the War Room. We got Dev, Chill, Jimmy, PJ, B. Austin, the Hot Block Commander. How you wanna end up on a 2-hour show to keep the brain running with the premise to talk sports on a national level. Bold with the topic, sorta like the rebels when it's game time. They like the Fab Five during prime time. Sports conglomerates speak their minds a little bit. For sports medicine and sports veterans and greats. The 4th and 26th or the war in Kuwait. It's the War Room with 5 nights at the round table. 5 Philly guys diversified and educated.
Know it. What's good, War Room family? You are once again live in the War Room, brought to you by War Room Sports and the War Room Sports Podcast Network. I'm one of your hosts, Dev McMillan. I'm in the building with my bros. Got Jimmy the Blueprint and the boy B. Austin. We got NFL midseason awards, trade deadline craziness, NBA action, and a whole lot more. So keep it locked right here to get in on the conversation, and make sure you join us on Facebook, Twitter at War Room Sports. You can also join us right now in the JW Philly Realty chat room at blogtalkradio.com/War Room. /the War Room. And in about 5 minutes, we'll open up the Digital Extreme Tech hotline. That number is 323-410-0012. So get calls in, call us up, talk to us, ask us questions, tell us what you want to talk about, whatever. Just hit us up, 323-410-0012. But during the week, when we're not live on the air, be sure to check out the War Room Sports Podcast Network. Besides our own podcast, The War Room, you can also listen to shows such as The Broad Street Line and The Broad Street Line Express with Roy and Chris, The Tissue and the Tape Hip Hop Show with Philmatic and Savard, John Appetit with The Burtons, On the Couch with The Wilsons, Corner 3, that's our newest NBA show with Joel, Azan, and Mark, and a whole lot more. Just visit warroom.com, click on the podcast network tab, or go to our free mobile app. Click that tab there. I guess Joe fellas decided that just the tip wasn't what they're going to roll with, so they changed the name. Corner. What up, Jim? Oh.
Yo, can you hear me?
Where you at? Yeah.
I know my tech was acting a little crazy right now, man. What's up, good brother?
Not much, man. Another week, another terror attack in the U.S. that they won't name a terror attack. Might have been 2, wasn't it 2?
Yeah, it was what was that? Colorado, where somebody let loose in a Walmart parking lot. Then
in New York, slamming vehicles into people.
Yeah. Yeah, man. This world we living in is crazy right now, man. Like, I don't even know what to say, man. Every week is something else, man. Like, it's just crazy times we living in, man.
No, it's like you just can't do normal things, man. You can't just go chill in Times Square. You can't go to Walmart. You can't go to Vegas. Like, people just put fear in everyday stuff.
If I stay in the hood, they keep that stuff away from the hood.
Oh, yeah. You're not valuable. The hood isn't valuable. It's black people there. It's the chickens coming home to roost, gentlemen. I always ask folks, are you aware of the number of secret missions and operations that not just the U.S. government, but all these European countries run in third world countries? And, of course, the response is, well, we've got to fight terror. I say, yeah.
Right.
Well,
That's why we got lying and not there. You know, like, is they doing all that?
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
All right. A lot of craziness going on, man. We're going to get right into our program because we got a couple that's going to join us early. Knock that out, but before we
Dev, your line is sounding a little crazy right now.
Yeah, you're getting told, brother.
Yeah, you're getting a little told.
Yeah, no, you're getting told.
this tow truck over here.
Yeah, man.
All right. Well, we handled that. So we're gonna jump. We're gonna jump right into things. Hot topics, of course, are brought to you by Sports the Book. You guys tired of reading the same old sports books with the same tired sports lists, rankings, imaginary starting lineups, all of these reach records that they're bringing out now, and all sorts of subjective information being passed off as facts? Well, be sure to pick up your copy of Sports. Smart people only read the sports. It's a mixture of sports and hip-hop culture to keep you on the edge of your seat and laughing like you're watching the latest comedy special. Just go to sportsthebook.com and get your copy from our website at warroomsports.com. But whatever you do, just make sure you don't miss that movement. Real quick, gentlemen, before we get Fred on the line to talk a little bit of college football for 5 minutes. The Astros, Jimmy, it's in your wheelhouse. You grew up a big baseball fan.
Yeah.
Did you ever think you'd hear somebody say out of their mouth, the Astros have won the World Series?
Nah.
What a time to be alive.
I really didn't. I didn't think they would win, no matter whether they win the National League, the American League, the National Football Conference. It just didn't really matter. I never thought they would. But
the Negro Leagues, none of that.
It's certain organizations that you equate with losing, like loserdom. And the Houston Astros are one of those organizations, like you don't think about them ever winning anything, ever.
That's how you know. That's how you know you get.
Well, no, yeah, because it's their first one, so definitely.
But that's how you know you get old when you start seeing like the tides turn. Like the fact that the Clippers have been good for the last several years is still weird to me.
The Clippers is another big Magic Johnson.
If the Cleveland Browns ever take it back to the Jim Brown days, I'm gonna just kill myself. That's when you know life. You've lived life to the fullest. Once the Cleveland Browns start winning, so
they can't get out of their own way.
Yeah, I know. But the Astros, though, Jim, they could be, it could be a lot of copycats out there. Because if you look at the past 4 years and what it culminated in last night,
they're
letting you know that tanking can work.
Yeah, they trusted the process.
And MLB, they definitely trusted the process. Man, what they did to get here was crazy too, because they were a big analytics team. They went through the playoffs and beat, I believe, like 3 of the teams with the highest payrolls in the entire league. And at the end of it, they're standing tall with a lot of their young guys that they didn't pay a whole chunk of money, in comparison to some of the payrolls that they played against. So, it's an amazing story that's going to get copycatted. I know Oakland is out there like, man, we did this a long time ago. We just couldn't get it done. But Houston is going to be that new model. We're going to see how many teams stand around and try to copy that.
I hear what you're putting out there, Deb, but I'm going to go in another direction. I think our brother Jimmy is going to appreciate this. I think it was devil worship. And I think that Deshaun Watson had to sacrifice his life for his knee.
Yo,
to get the Astros to win.
Yo, listen, man. They definitely are standing tall and talented right now. Salute to Amari. But and like anything else in sports, it's a copycat. It's a copycat world we live in. I shouldn't even say sports because this is the world at large. When something is successful, everybody jumps on a bandwagon and tries it, as opposed to sticking to the fundamentals of doing what works. Because everybody out here is a loser. But anyway, so we'll see. Like everybody try to tank is going to ruin baseball, and they're going to have to address it because, if you're an owner and you don't have to pay a high payroll, and you could just act like you're tanking to win, but you really just try and cut salary.
Right. Yeah, it's amazing. And B. Elson brings up, Deshaun Watson. If people didn't hear that story. Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson, they're fearing that he may have torn his ACL in a non-contact situation in practice, which would be a shame because the young dude was balling out of his mind and above expectations so far this season. But not only that, though, you just got to look back over what happened to Houston in the last few months. there was a lot of sacrifice. Like, if that's what it takes, this kind of reminds me of when the New Orleans Saints, won the Super Bowl after their city had to go through what they had to go through. So if that's what it takes,
there you go.
Get Jimmy, y'all come down here, stay with your brother for a while, and let me wish something bad on Philly so we can get one of these chips. Get my loved ones out of there, and let me wish something bad on the city since I don't live there no more. All right, but congratulations to the Houston Astros, and we got to play this for all of our champions here. Y'all are no different. All right. Good job, Houston Astros. All right, we're going to talk a little college football for a couple minutes with Fred Perdue because we got Freddie on the line. So let's go to him right now. Your War Room Sports college football expert. We got Fred Perdue on the line. Fred, what's going on, good brother?
What's going on, sir?
When you have a quarterback like Jay Cutler,
your team tanks, or actually kind of stays afloat for a while. Never mind.
Look, Fred, we really only want to ask you about one thing tonight because, all the other important topics you definitely hit on in this week's episode of Quick Slants. So before you go, we're going to tell people how to go listen to that because I know they want to hear your opinions on, those first college football playoff rankings, the pick 'em for the week. But, there was a big story that came down, and that's Jim McElwain and Florida parting ways. I'm going to say it nicely. They parted ways. What are your thoughts on that situation? Do you think it was time? Who do you think the possible candidates are, and the implications period of becoming the new coach at a program as big and as good as the University of Florida?
Well, first off, it seems like every coordinator that goes on to leave Nick Saban and become a head coach or gets into it with Nick Saban, they all start out kind of slow. Even you, Lane Kiffin. This isn't even about him, but he even started out slow. For an offensive coach who went to a school that did not have an offense and has not had an offense in over a decade, it just seems like the Tim Tebow years seemed like yesterday. And ever since he left, Urban Meyer left, Dan Mullen left, that offense just didn't seem the same. They said, we need offense. We're going to go get Alabama's offensive coordinator, the same offensive coordinator that ran pro-style power run game, did not run any shotgun spread, never went tempo, and was very basic and boring. And it seems like he played 1980s NFL football. That's who you tabbed as your new head coach after letting go of Will Muschamp and his boring offense behind Charlie Weiss. Why are all these New England Patriot and Alabama connections still coming around? I don't know. It's Jimmy, you said it. I mean, kind of the same when it comes to the baseball thing. Why not go out and do your own thing and kind of stick to it instead of, trying to copycat everybody? I mean,
security. Like people are afraid of that, man. Everybody afraid to do their own thing, man. That's the world we live in.
I mean, football is a little bit different than baseball, but you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Fred, I know you're younger, so you don't remember this, but there was a time when one team ran the West Coast offense.
Yeah.
Just one.
Yeah, just one, and there was also I can even go as far back, and me,
46 defense. Like there was one team who did that, and then after that, it was like a
everybody did it. Yeah,
the run and shoot.
The run and
a couple years ago, what's the joint with the running back and the shotgun?
The Wildcat. The Wildcat.
Like this.
Yeah.
This is just what it is.
Yeah. Trust me, I know they've trying to replicate what the Patriots do. Not the cheating. The other stuff. We know we did the cheating. We know we did the cheating. You don't have to remind me. But the other stuff, being able to replicate the way that they manage their team, they're managing their roster.
All that's based on cheating, though, Fred. All that's cheating.
See, I can't give my team any credit. Anyway,
Fred never realized though. We've told him this for years. Like, none of us care. If our teams can cheat and get away with
If
it
you
and
ain't
win,
cheat, you ain't
we're
trying.
good with that. Yeah, we're good with that.
That only
And real
applies
quick,
to
I know we're in the
college
midst of the college football report, but it is confirmed that Deshaun Watson did tear his ACL and will be out for the season. That's sad, man.
That's bad.
I was rooting for that youngin', man, because
Yes,
he
me
seemed
too.
a little different.
Low key, I was really hoping I was really hoping he would jump to my Tom Brady in this whole MVP thing because he was balling. He was balling.
Yeah, he was definitely balling, and that's going to change the whole look of our midseason awards versus our postseason awards because he pretty much had one of them wrapped up, in my opinion.
What did Nick Saban do?
And had a shot at two of them. But
what kind of voodoo dolls Nick Saban got going on? Because that's kind of weird. That I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm not into that.
Let's finish off with this this Florida situation. So what's it gonna look like down there going forward?
Well, the thing with the University of Florida is that program is not a destination job right now because you've gone through 3 coaches in roughly 10 years. Really, actually 4 because if you count Steve Adazio's little time there as the interim. Urban Meyer quit on his team when Tebow left. We saw that coming. Will Muschamp believed he set the tone with great defense and kept that tradition going. But then in college football, unlike the NFL, they play there. It's all offense based. If you have a good defense, that's a plus. And they brought Jim McElwain there to reinvigorate the offense. They thought he'd bring in a spread offense and do all of this stuff, but the defense is one. And unfortunately, it sucks to be fired. Let go, mutually part ways, however you want to look. Yeah, however you want to make it look. But it sucks for that situation to happen after you've gone to 2 straight SEC East. You've won 2 SEC East titles and gone on to get destroyed by Alabama. I mean, that's just the Alabama Invitational, but nonetheless, I mean. But for me, when I look at it, I say the Gators need someone that can handle the scrutiny because McElwain's a guy from up in East Washington. Actually, though, he was a roommate with Fox radio host Colin Cowherd. That was his roommate. So that's his claim to fame in college. So he's not set for that type of scrutiny to live in the SEC. He's a great coordinator there, but he's not a head coach to take on the boosters, the winning. I mean, you go 4-3, have a down year after winning 2 SEC East titles, and you got to go. That's the pressure that you're under at Florida. So you need a guy. He can be young, but he has to be able to not only appeal to the boosters, but also bring in a fun offense in and be able to relate to these young recruits. So for me, I look at some coaches like a Chip Kelly, who is a free agent, and he had one of the best offenses we've ever seen. Even at the NFL level, he couldn't relate to players, but he could relate to college players because he's in control more than in the NFL. You can't tell a millionaire what to do, but you can tell a young kid that can't go to work and he has to go to school and he's playing school for 3 years. You can tell him what to do because you're in complete control of his scholarship. That's just a fact.
Listen to my white daddy, Chip.
See, you trying to get me in trouble now. Don't get me in trouble, B. Austin. Don't get me in trouble. But his protege Scott Frost at UCF right now is 7-0 and started off really well since he's moved on from being the offensive coordinator there at Oregon under Mark Helfrich at the time. He's done really well, but he's kind of got some connections to Nebraska, so I'm not sure he can even if he was to be tabbed for the job, I don't necessarily think it would be a good spot for him because he's, again, a Midwest guy, a Nebraska guy. I mean, he doesn't seem like he has that personality to fit in to deal with the scrutiny. The offense isn't the problem. He's really good at being an offensive coordinator. My personal pick for this one is Lane Kiffin. It's his last chance. Dude is the best offensive mind in college football, and he's stuck at FAU right now and started off slow.
Not to mention Lane will leave to take any big job that he can get.
Exactly. I mean, he's won
at any given time. At any given time.
And Lane is that guy. He's at least you've seen it from every level in college football, whether it was USC, you've seen it at Tennessee, a fledgling Tennessee program. He went to Alabama. He got humbled after coming back from the NFL. And he did it at Alabama with multiple quarterbacks with multiple styles, whether it was a pocket passer in Jake Coker, whether it was Blake Sims, who was a running back turned quarterback who was like 5'10" and couldn't throw a deep out. But they ran the football really well, to Jalen Hurts last year before him and Nick Saban got into it, and things went off the rails. So for me,
your man Lane, he'll get a text while he's sitting in the living room of a recruit and get up and leave and take the job while he's in the middle of a recruiting trip. So if they tap him, you know he's definitely going to come. But look, like I told everybody earlier, there were a lot of other big stories this week in college football, but Fred touched on a lot of that stuff on this week's episode of Quick Slants. So if you go to warroomsports.com, click on the podcast network tab. On the right-hand menu, just look for Quick Slants and listen to the latest episodes. He talks about the first college football rankings of the season with Georgia, Alabama, Notre Dame, and Clemson. What else did you talk about on there? Your pick'ems for the week.
I gave some jewels for that, man. I gave a couple of picks in that one. I don't give any freebies ever nowadays.
There were a couple of freebies in there, and you know, there were some other big stories. We kind of touched on, you know, Penn State versus Ohio State, but somebody on the panel didn't want to talk too much about that. So just listen to this week's episode of Quick Slant, and Fred, we will see you again in the War Room next week to talk a little college football. Before we go, just tell everybody where to find you on Saturday when they want to talk to you about college football while the games are going on.
You can check me out on Twitter, Fred Perdue CFB. Of course, I'm going to be in front of a lot of monitors talking cash, giving you cash comments, good comments throughout the day. We got 10 to 12 really good games throughout the day. That's going to be where I'm going to be on Saturday. And, of course, I'm going to be letting Florida know how bad they are, because there's only about 2 teams in college football I really did have a distaste for, and the little green people of Notre Dame and the little lizards in Gainesville are the 2. So of course I'll be letting them know.
All right, no doubt. We will talk to you next week, Fred.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me on.
All right, no doubt. Fred Perdue, everybody, college football expert, Fred Perdue. Listen, we're gonna B. Austin and I are about to give our mid-season awards in the NFL. You know, Jimmy's still in the midst of his boycott, so you know there's nothing he's gonna add to that.
Right,
he told us.
All I got to say,
Jim, I don't know what's going on in the NFL right now.
All I say is the MVP is Kaepernick. That's all I'm saying.
No doubt. All right, so before we do that, though, we have our favorite investment picker, our favorite handicapper on the line. We got Gus Griffin in the building. Gus, what's going on, good brother?
I don't know if I'm a favorite after I've been doing the way I've been doing lately. They might, the SEC might come and get me for securities exchange fraud or something. The way I've been doing it.
Yeah, we sitting at 15, 19, and 1. You know, I got a couple calls, a couple texts. There's a few people looking for you, but you know, I threw them off the scent. I told them I really never know what city Gus is in from week to week, so I can't help you with finding him right now.
And that's intentional on my part.
All right, so let's get into this week's picks, and you know, we only got a few here. And the first one is the Jets plus 3.5 versus the Bills. Who do you like?
Jets. Okay, the one thing I have been consistently good at is on Thursday night. I think I'm about 4-1 on Thursday night. I got the Bucks. I got the Raiders, Baltimore last week. So I've been good on Thursday night. I'm taking the Jets. This is a tricky game for Buffalo. Buffalo's a good team, and I really hope they make the playoffs. But this is a short week. It's on the road in the division, and anytime I see a division game where a 3-point underdog within a division on the road, I start thinking a little bit. The Jets, they're not a good team, but they are a competitive team, contrary to what people thought. And And I think the fact is that the bar was so low for them, it wasn't hard for them to be competitive. So I'm taking the Jets. I wouldn't be shocked if they can pull this out. I think the Bills are going to have some pressure to try to get Benjamin into the game, and that might backfire this first week, although it's a great acquisition for them. So I'm taking the Jets plus the 3. They may pull the upset.
All right, the next game is an over-under game. We got the Saints and the Buccaneers. Over-under at 50. What do you want to do on this one?
I see the over. You got to have a real good reason not to take an over when you're talking about the Saints, especially when they're indoors. Although, quietly, their defense has played better lately. But I see the over. Tampa Bay has played well in that building as well. It's inside, controlled environment. So I'm going with the over. 27-24, something in that range.
And at this point, Tampa Bay is pretty desperate, so they better score some damn points.
They're desperate.
All right, and the last one for this week, you got Washington plus 7.5 versus the Seahawks. Are people just losing confidence in Washington, or is it the injury bug that they're experiencing right now?
A combination. But the thing is, people aren't as afraid to go to Seattle as they were a few years ago. Teams have gone up there and, they still win most of their games up there, but teams have gone up there and made things pretty competitive. And I just see the Redskins doing that this week as well. Seattle, you never know. One week they'll have a dynamic offense, and another week they'll score 13 points. So I think the Redskins can keep it close.
Well, they got a left tackle now, so I don't know if he's going to play or not, but I guess that would make a difference. All right. So let's see. That week we got to get back on the ball. I think since we're only doing 3 this week, you still can't get to 500, but you got to go 3-0 so we can get closer to 500 by next week, so I can stop fielding these calls and these texts.
Baby step, brother. Baby step. Hey, look, man, in fairness, I also had the Colts plus last week. That came through. I also had the Redskins. I had the Cowboys minus. They just weren't among my favorite picks, but I did have them. But anyway, I know. Yeah.
All right, Gus. Well, we will talk to you next week, good brother.
Give me my money, Gus.
It's in the mail.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
Take care.
All right. That's Gus Griffin, everybody. Go out and make your picks. And, if you're looking for Gus next week, don't call me. Call B. Austin. He'll tell you where he is.
Man, I love Gus. I love Gus, but he's a much better writer than handicapper. I'm sorry. You're great.
He's going to turn it around,
writer,
man. Record going to be devastating by the end of the season. It's going to be like a Rocky story, man. He's going to get off the canvas. Hopefully. All right, so I guess we got to do this quick because this is a 3-man weave here that we do, but I'm not used to Jimmy not participating, so we got to do this quick so we can get to the stuff that the stingivires that Jimmy is paying attention to. And plus, Jimmy, he here for the jokes though. He can still clown B. Austin's picks.
I'm here for all the slander, man. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? He can still clown B. Austin's picks. But
shout out to all the inmates y'all about to name.
No doubt. Inmates in the house. I guess since it's 2 of us, we could still go quickly, but we could just go one award at a time. So let's start out with the Coach of the Year midway through. You want to do the honors, B, or you want me to pop the top on this one? Paul.
The Coach of the Year, I'm going to start out with my honorable mentions. Shout out to Doug Peterson, man, and I was right there. I mean, you were going to be it, brother. Shout out to Sean McDermott, got the Buffalo Bills balling, and they are balling with nothing.
Sean McDermott, somebody else Eagles fans ran out of town.
Yeah, he got the defensive backfield. Micah Hyde is looking like a superstar. But the Coach of the Year is Sean McVay. And why, you ask? He coaches the Rams. Wow. What is there to explain? He coaches the Rams.
For me, it was definitely a two-horse race between Peterson and McVay. And that does make a lot of sense, but the Rams have been that team over the last few years that folks always expected more from. Like, so they say the Rams have the talent, but, you know, Fisher, who in a lot of people's eyes has been an overrated coach for his whole tenure in the NFL, couldn't really get them over that hump because offense really didn't seem like something he was good at coaching. McVay comes over with an offensive mind. He comes over, you know, after being an offensive coordinator in Washington, and he has the team balling on that side of the ball, whereas only thing you wanted to watch from the Rams in the past few years were the defense. The Eagles, on the other hand, was a team that
we weren't even
I had
supposed to
no, even as a fan, I had no expectations, B. I had no, you know, I was thinking they were going to be fighting for the third or fourth spot in the NFC East, and you know, it's still a long season, so you don't know if if they're going to fall off a cliff or not. But right now, they're flying high, so I'm gonna go with Doug Peterson as the mid-season coach of the year. This could definitely change by the time we get to the end.
I ain't gonna front, brother. You know, me being the staunch Philadelphia sports fan.
You just didn't want to be a homer.
You know, not even that. I feel like I could put some energy out there that could change. I'm so elated at where we are. I don't want to put any energy out that I'm not picking us. I'm just happy. I'm just happy because if I say the wrong thing and we lose.
I'm still sticking with my pick that they're going to be third in the NFC East. I'm sticking with that.
I'd never be happier to be wrong.
All right, so comeback player of the year. For me, there was a few people in this category, and there's no standout, head and shoulders over the rest of the crowd type of dude. There's no Eric Berrys in this. So I was looking at Justin Houston, who is wreaking havoc on opposing offense.
Yeah. That's
you got Keenan Allen. You got a couple of more people in the category, but I'm gonna go with Keenan Allen. He's back. He still has the pep in his step. He's still a good route runner. He can still get loose with his quickness. And he has the Chargers offense worth watching right now. So I'm gonna go with Keenan Allen as my midseason comeback player of the year.
Yo, salute to Keenan Allen, Beard Gang, forever, B. Great.
Shout out to the boy, DeMarcus Lawrence too. He balling out of control.
Marcus Lawrence Taylor. Salute to those guys, but for me, there's a guy who plays the same position as Eric Berry, and the way he plays it, he might be the best athlete on the team. Now I know that our old head.
He just popped a hamstring too, chasing DeAndre.
If you can't,
I know who you're talking about.
If you can't, then you ain't gonna play safety. But this is a guy who I believe could actually athletically play corner, but he wouldn't have the opportunity to hit people as much and not see what he was hitting and blow people up. And that's Earl Thomas, man. Mm-hmm. Earl Thomas, I thought he didn't have a leg last year, and he's back taking pick sixes, to the house.
No, I think, B, that's a great pick. You know why? Because he changes the whole defense, because they didn't even look like the Legion of Boom while he wasn't there, and now they're good again all of a sudden.
Yeah. He flies around. I often wonder, when you hear him speak, he's unassuming, he's intelligent, he's well articulate, but when you watch him play, he looks like he speaks Floridian, because he don't even really be caring what I don't. But anyway, Earl Thomas was my pick. He's back balling. Hopefully that hammy isn't a permanent thing. But that was my pick. Salute to everybody else. Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Mm-hmm. What you got?
Salute to JJ's brother, who's better than him. It's like, no, he's not. But TJ Watt. Salute to Tre'Davious White. I couldn't pick you because of your first name. And so Jamal Adams of the New York Football Jets is my pick for Defensive Rookie of the Year. My man's defensive prowess And for me, when I analyze a safety, I'm looking for the ability to actually cover and run with receivers downfield. I'm not as sold on big hits because I thought Chuck Cecil was a noodle. I thought who's the boy that dated Kelly Rowland for the Cowboys? I thought he was a noodle. Like Troy Polamalu is overrated. I don't care about the big hits. I care if my corner gets beat, can you run with the receiver? And I think that Jamal Adams shows his versatility because he can come in the box and he can lay the wood down. But he's good 20 yards from the line of scrimmage.
No doubt. And for me, shout out to Jamal
man,
Adams.
Young legend.
Shout out to Jamal Adams. But my two right now is between Tre'Davious White of the Buffalo Bills and T.J. Watt. Tre'Davious, young dude, teams don't want to throw his way right now. And when they do throw his way, they're only like 43%.
Like 47. Yeah,
46, something like that. Something under 50% they're completing his way. And he totally, after Amari Cooper had like the greatest game of his career after basically being invisible for the past, I don't know how many weeks, he totally shut him down last week.
They ain't hard to be in here, but still.
Yeah, the way he's playing, it ain't hard to be in here, but still, he's a rookie cornerback. Going against somebody whose confidence was on 1,000 at the time.
Shout out to McDermott, because if you watch the Buffalo Bills defensive backfield, they all ball. They all ball. Like, they are balling. They ball out in that defensive backfield.
For all the props I just gave Tre'Davious White, I'm going to go with T.J. Watt, younger brother of J.J. Watt, who's, a part of that budding defense in Pittsburgh. They're much improved, and he's a big reason for it. Offensive Rookie of the Year, we're going to speed this up because we got some homies on the line waiting to talk to us. Offensive Rookie of the Year is a no-brainer, and we talked about it earlier. It's a shame that it had to go down like this, a non-contact injury in practice ends his season. I got Deshaun Watson. For me, it was starting to become a runaway, even though the homie Hunt over in Kansas City is doing his thing. He's still leading everybody with yards from scrimmage, and he's a big part of the offensive success over in Kansas City. Deshaun Watson was just playing out of his mind, and he doesn't even seem like a rookie right now. Who is your pick for Offensive Rookie of the Year?
I mean, if you don't pick Deshaun Watson, then you basically saying that you boycott. Like, that's the only way that you couldn't pick Deshaun Watson.
Or you could just be a Chiefs. You could be a Chiefs fan.
Chiefs fan, yeah. Caveat to that is now that he's gone, I would say Kareem Hunt. But shout out to Leonard Fournette because they run the single wing and direct snap to him down there because they ain't got nobody on the team on offense. Especially on the
that's the thing. Like, I think now that Deshaun Watson is gone, the award is going to ultimately go to Kareem Hunt, barring injury for him. But cats like Leonard Fournette is going to get into the conversation a little more because it's not going to be a total runaway. All right, we got 3 left. Defensive Player of the Year. I'm going to go with Calais Campbell. He joined the Jags, and it's definitely not just him in their improvement, but the attitude that he brings, the leadership that he brings. The Jags defense is nasty this year, and he's a big part of it down there creating havoc in Florida. So I'm gonna go with Calais Campbell on this one right now.
Boy had 10 sacks in 7 games. Come on, man. Like, what else is there to do? It ain't really nothing else. The boy had 10 sacks in 7 games. He's in the backfield more than offensive players. Calais Campbell is it. Shout out to Jalen Ramsey, the second best cornerback in the NFL. Yeah, I said it. The little homo boy. He's the second best. The offensive player of the year. Here's where I'll go against my better judgment, because as an Eagles fan, I know that all this does is mean we're going to lose the next 7 games.
You're going to pick Zach Ertz?
Hakeem Jordan. It's Carson Wentz. It's Carson Wentz. Like, it's Carson Wentz. It's not close. He's balling out of control. And his numbers are great, but his numbers aren't the reason. When the eye test is applied and you watch him play, he is imposing his will and athleticism on games. Like, I just will not lose, and not only won't I lose, watch what I'm going to do next. Like, that's how he's balling. Like, he's balling on another level. And I'm impressed with the intellect that's coming with that, the ability to read defensive fronts, read coverages, manipulate the safeties in the middle of the field, and then on third down, whether or not the blocking is good or not, he goes on display. He's like he
throws most of his touchdowns on third down.
He goes to the line and looks at us and says, "Watch what I'm gonna do now."
He has about 9 of his 17 touchdowns on third down. Offensive Rookie of the Year. This probably won't make no damn sense whatsoever, considering
Offensive Player of the Year.
Offensive Player of the Year. I mean, this probably makes no sense because I just said this dude was second in the Offensive Rookie of the Year category to Deshaun Watson. So really, this should be Deshaun Watson again. But I'm picking Kareem Hunt right now as the Offensive Player of the Year. Like I mentioned earlier, most yards from scrimmage for everybody, and he's just workhorsing out of the on the ground, out of the backfield, just doing everything for that Kansas City Chiefs team, and it's helping Alex Smith to have the season that he's having, and I don't know. So Kareem Hunt is the guy I'm tabbing for this right now. Makes a little sense. MVP. Who's your midseason MVP?
Donald Trump, and since he's not playing and I can't pick him, his apprentice, Tom Brady.
Tommy B.
Yeah, Tommy Brady.
Okay. At mine, I'm actually going with Alex Smith. Alex Smith is a different dude this year, and it's like we've been saying on the show for the last few weeks, if all you had to do was draft his replacement. I mean, San Francisco did that, but I don't think Kaepernick was as highly touted a replacement as Patrick Mahomes. Like, they didn't come get him like this is the future of the team. Like, they had Kaepernick there. He played well in practice, and they were like, wow, this could be the future of the team, and actually sat Alex Smith down. I guess that situation has Alex Smith in a mind state like, never again. You bring somebody in here, I'm going to tell you, never again.
I like the pick. I like your pick. It's more than respectable. But I wonder how much of you giving Alex Smith the MVP is tied to the mediocrity that we know him to be versus what we see him doing now.
It might be, because everything that we say
Kareem
to
Hunt,
knock Alex Smith, he's doing the opposite right now. He leads. Now this is shocking, and Jimmy might not know this because Jimmy's not watching football right now. Jimmy, your man, the original check-down Charlie, he is leading the league in yards per attempt at 8.4, leading the league. He's going downfield. I can't believe how many times I see Alex Smith go downfield during the game these days.
What's Sam Bradford doing, though? I'm just saying.
He dead. He on the sideline dead. I mean, but he was doing a little bit more, but he was still, he's not Alex Smith. And Alex is like all in right now because he knows he could possibly be auditioning for another team. So he's going to show you, like, okay, I've been cautious all these years. I'm going to let it loose now. And he has, that team has a great shot at winning the Super Bowl. He has 16 touchdown passes, and peep this, at the halfway point, 0 interceptions. So he's the same Alex Smith as far as not turning the ball over. He's taking care of the ball, but he's not taking care of the ball because he's checking down to every running back he can see in his view. He's not throwing interceptions. He's going down the field, so he's being very accurate this season.
He gives Travis Kelce 20 targets a game, though. He
right.
throws the ball to Travis
but if you had a Travis Kelce, you would too. Travis Kelce.
Yeah, I would. I'm hating.
So I'm impressed with what I'm obviously impressed with what Alex Smith is doing so far this season. So he's my mid-season MVP. So those are our awards. And before we briefly talk about the craziness that was the trade deadline, let's take a couple calls. I see we got the homie calling from Arizona. We got Tobias on the line. Roll damn Tide.
Hey, man, the Dodgers, man, Yu Darvish, man, I tell you, man.
Dodger fan too.
Hey,
let you down.
He bombed. Hey, he bombed worse than Hiroshima and Nagasaki combined.
At some point though, maybe like second inning, maybe they should have taken him out of the game. Maybe.
Hey, how about
he's already giving up 5 runs within 2 innings?
But you know, but here's something for the NBA to take note of. Why everybody hates tanking. The past 2 World Series winners, the Cubs and the Astros, tanked for a couple of seasons. Told their fans what's going to happen. Yeah. They got some picks. They made some moves for some veterans, and voila. Now, they may won the series those past 2 years, but they're also relevant. And sometimes you're going to have to do that, or you want to be a middle of the pack. And take note.
But the only thing, it's less noticeable in baseball unless you're a straight up purist, because as long as the NBA season is and everybody's complaining about it, they play half the games that they play in baseball. And baseball is one of those sports where what you're doing mostly, there's people who will watch any baseball game that's on, but what you do mostly is follow your own team. I think the NBA and the NFL, they're 2 leagues where you can just sit down and watch anybody who's on if you're into those sports. Baseball, it's the same for some people, but I think you mostly follow your team. So if you're not really following the Astros, and there was really not a reason to follow the Astros over the past decade, you're probably not even noticing that they're doing it because they stunk before their tanking ever started. So they stunk by mistake before they started stinking on purpose.
Yeah, and you know what? And the thing is, like, look at the NBA, for example. They try and change this so-called tanking rule, whatever. But the thing is, if you only got a couple of players, star players, who are only going to play for these certain teams, and the guys coming there are 19 now, and you make it so hard to make a trade, what do you expect these teams to do? What, be the 8th seed every year? Or they going to say, hey, we'll start over and see what happens. So they made it, like the NFL, for example, it's easy to make a trade. If you want to unload something for picks, screw it, we'll do it. We'll go another direction.
Right,
but the
you don't have to
NBA
match salaries
shouldn't make it that hard. Yeah.
No, and I feel you, because for me, that's all I've asked over the past, all of these years that I've been complaining about the NBA. All I've asked for is competitiveness. Like, people always point out, like, look, in the 80s you had the same teams winning chips. You had the same teams, and, every decade you got the same teams, couple teams dominating. I understand that as far as championships go, but there still was a time, even when the Lakers were dominating the league, it just seemed like it seemed like the league was at least competitive. You know what I'm saying? We know the 2 teams that's going to end up at the end, basically, just like we do now. But it's more exciting to watch because everybody's just not getting slammed.
It ain't even about the 2 teams being in. It's the fact that the series aren't even competitive. Yes, Michael Jordan won 6 titles, knew he was going to win it. But a lot of those series, those teams gave them real pushback. The Knicks, the Pacers, those teams in the finals. Gave them real pushback, and I think fans could take that being competitive.
Yo, I think we all have revisionist history, and we think that when we come up, our childhood and when we come up watching is better. Because I hear you, Tobias, but statistically speaking, if you look at the winning percentages and winning records of teams now versus then, it's really no different.
Yeah.
If you want to talk straight facts, how we remember it is one thing, but if you want to talk straight facts, it's no different.
Yeah, and I'm looking at
the winning percentage of who? The winning teams?
Yeah, the winning teams now versus then.
Yeah,
but Jim, that's what I always tell you. Like,
and
even when you know what teams are going to be there, and what teams you're going to, that's going to basically dominate the season, it's not even always about those teams. I'm not talking about, the Bucks playing the Bulls on a Tuesday night. I'm talking about the Bucks playing the Sixers on a Tuesday night. You know what I'm saying? We know those teams. Saying. These other teams, I'm talking about like when with all the super teams going on when this first started. Okay, you have a couple of teams that's going to be good. We know we're going to see them regardless. But it's like the other matchups.
I'm not talking about
they
just
starved the league of so much talent.
I'm talking once you wait. Well, there's a couple things, right? Because if you Google it, a lot of people have done this study. So a couple things is there's more teams now than there was before. So that's one thing.
Too much
and that's
expansion.
a problem. But overall, if you look at the teams that made the playoffs then versus now, the amount of wins that each team had and how competitive the game was from a scoring standpoint of scores in the game, it really hasn't changed. But the way I look at it is, I look at it like a lot of times it's it's nostalgia essentially. Because when I talk to people who watched the game years before me, they talk about our generation like it was trash, and we're talking about the next
but
generation
before
like
expansion though, Jim,
there
was before expansion, like even the worst teams at least had a superstar that you wanted to look at.
Yeah, but
the kind of stuff that I'm arguing. I'm not arguing scores and who's winning. I'm talking about starving the league of talent. One, it's on the league because of expansion. Two, all the guys want to get together and play, and people will always combat that with, not you, but other people will always say, well, look, they had bomb squads back in the day. Look who Magic and Kareem and Bird and all of them. That's because it wasn't 6 million teams. So
here's the thing.
You actually drafted 2 or 3 superstars back in the day.
Actually, what I'm saying is I'm not saying you're wrong because that's kind of what you remember, and I remember that too. But sometimes I think that we romanticize our time because even people that grew up watching Bill Russell and them, they kind of use that same argument. It was only 12 teams, therefore you only had the cream of the crop across the entire country. So, I mean, and then you have the influx of the foreign players. There's so much going on within the sport itself of becoming a global sport.
But that's kind of supporting the argument. I mean, if I can use this analogy, if you have the rawest of the raw and it isn't stepped on, then the quality is better. To add more teams means you're actually stepping on the cut. And you're
agreeing with what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, if we take that approach, then we can say that the game was better in the 50s than it was in the 80s and 90s.
I wasn't around to judge that.
I understand that. But this is what I'm saying. But I don't think that none of us would say that, be awesome. What I'm saying is that's when it was really pure. That's when it was going for 10 apiece, and it wasn't cut at all.
You know what I think, though, and like what I was saying, and I want to touch on Papa John's in a second, and I get out of here. But my whole thing is, I remember, I think the players overall are better, more athletic than they were then.
Modern medicine, weightlifting,
and a lot of them more skilled. I just look at it as,
but I ain't going to. Go ahead.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like a little more athletic because you got a lot of talent. But the one I look at is, I just look at it as, okay, a lot of times, okay, you get pushback. And, who's going to win. But, man, at least those series were competitive. It's like now it's not like the top teams aren't even getting tested pretty much. Now, Cleveland is because LeBron will blame everybody else. But I want to touch on this Papa John thing for a second. You got other people.
Go ahead.
The pizza industry, like I said this morning, is struggling, period, because, one, Papa John's costs too much. Your best seller is the garlic sauce. But here's the thing. We can order Uber Eats and get all kind of other stuff now at a fraction of the price for a pizza.
Right.
And so
because pizza used to be king in the delivery world.
You can get a steak dinner.
Just order a pizza. Because that's been my go-to for my whole life. Man, I don't know what to do tonight. Order a pizza. It's just
right.
Those 3 words. Order a pizza. But now
can I say something else also?
Now it's like order a steak.
Yeah.
Order
can I say this
filet
also? Can we be honest about something here? The NFL just ain't as fun this year. It's not because you got a lot of bad quarterbacks out there, and it's not as fun as it used to be to watch all these games than I was when I was younger. And it may be because I got older, got more responsibilities, I don't care about my own team. But it's just like it's not much. For a couple of years, it hasn't been must-see TV for everybody else except my team, or like a good matchup last week between the Seahawks and the Texans. But one thing also, I'll say this real quick.
What you're saying right there, Tobias, that's kind of like what I've said about the NBA. Like, for me, it's not about the scores and who ends up winning and that being the same as it is today. I'm talking about what I can watch and what I can't watch. That's all.
Quality of the game, quality of the competition. Mm-hmm.
And I'll say this before I go, and I got to run, but the thing is
Tobias.
is that
Tobias, before you get out, I just want you to leave you with something real quick too. In terms of like, you talk about playoff runs, because outside of the Warriors, who went like I think 15 or 16-1, the next like 15 teams are all from the era that you talk about was so competitive in terms of teams having 1 and 2, 3 playoff losses. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, and like I said, like we talk blowouts, and let's be honest here. But what I was saying is that here's the issue about like the NFL and everything. We got to keep it real on this. Trees don't grow to the sky. Everybody, people record. People are just going to the bar to watch the game. People, that's things they aren't factoring in. They just want to blame Kaepernick. But hey, you guys have a good one, man.
All right, man.
Deuces.
It's convenient. We'll talk to you next week. It's convenient to blame Kaepernick. We're going to talk about Papa in a couple minutes as well. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. But everybody needs a scapegoat. Real quick, so we can get into all of that good stuff. I just want to, get your thoughts, B. Austin, on the trade deadline, because it was crazy. Like, you don't usually see this in the NFL. This is usually an NBA type thing where the trade deadline is just lit. You got Jimmy Garoppolo going to San Francisco for a second-round pick. You got the Eagles acquiring Jay Ajayi for a fourth-round pick. You got the Seahawks. They acquired Dwayne Brown, which I was upset about since the Eagles needed a left tackle so bad. And they also acquired Sheldon Richardson, I think. They got somebody for They got rid of Kearse, the wide receiver. And what was the other big one? Kelvin Benjamin gets traded. The Panthers are still in the midst of a division run. A lot of people were really surprised with that one. So what were your thoughts? Give me your thoughts first on the whole Garoppolo thing. Garoppolo for a second rounder. Like, what does that tell you about the Patriots? Like, has their arrogance gotten to a new level? Like, you have a 40-year-old quarterback. I don't care if Iron Man is under center. Like, that's a bold move because Tom Brady is, everybody's a hit away from it being done. But he's an old dude.
No matter what age
it would probably take less of a hit to get him up out of there. So what are your thoughts on that? Or what does it tell you about what they think about Garoppolo? Maybe he ain't that good.
From his vantage point, what I've heard is that Jimmy Garoppolo has been begging for this trade for 2 years, literally 2 years. What I wonder, and the mistake that I see that was made, was if you were going to trade him, his actual stock and value was much higher in the offseason, and there were offers of first-round picks for Jimmy Garoppolo. And so that's actually where I see the most arrogance with the Patriots. Why would you hold on to him this long when you could have leveraged that into 5 or 6 picks for Jimmy Garoppolo? And you wait to the middle of the season, and then you let him go, and you get a 2, which isn't terrible, but it's not what you were offered initially. There was talk of teams offering multiple first-rounders for Jimmy Garoppolo. Why don't you take that, especially if you don't see him being good enough or valuable enough to keep him in the midst of a season when you're literally one play away from being either quarterbackless on the roster or having to go to Brian Hoyer. So I don't understand that. I don't understand their thinking. They brought Brian Hoyer in. Brian Hoyer is a good Band-Aid. I wouldn't even call him a good backup. He's a good Band-Aid. He literally can win you 2 or 3 games as a backup before it all goes down Schitt's Creek. He's not – I guess what they're saying is he's very familiar with the system and he can be that Band-Aid. But Jimmy Garoppolo could have been an extended starter if Tom Brady goes down for any length of time. I don't want Brian Hoyer running my offense for 7 games or 6 games or 8 games. So I definitely think there's some haughtiness afield there, and I think they made a bad decision with this in the way they handled it.
Okay. If I'm getting tow trucked. Yeah, it also leads me to believe that maybe Jimmy Garoppolo is not good as everybody thinks he is, or maybe they believe in their system just that much because we've seen over the years that anybody could. Hold up.
Choppy. Oh, choppy.
My bad. They said they've seen over the years that, pretty much anybody they have as a backup comes in and does well there. I just don't understand the whole situation with Tom Brady being on the other side of 40. And they just, like a month ago, traded away Jacoby Brissett. So they've cleared the quarterback stable behind him and are going to pick up Brian Hoyer, like you said. But is that what you want? Like, I don't discount Brian Hoyer as a backup. But like you said, B. Austin, do you want Brian Hoyer in there for 8 games? Like, if it comes to that, which it could totally come to that. So this is something that I really didn't understand, and it could possibly backfire.
Yeah,
or, like I said earlier, they could be telling us that Jimmy Garoppolo ain't yet.
Hoyer isn't. I don't believe Hoyer's better than Garoppolo, and I just don't believe. Never mind that. I don't believe that they got the best deal they could have got for Jimmy Garoppolo. Okay, you want to get rid of him. Okay, all right, cool. Do it in the summer when you can get a first or possibly even 2 firsts and parlay that into 5
I don't know if you could, though.
Round.
I think the later you waited to get Garoppolo, the more his stock drops because everybody knows that he doesn't want to be there. He doesn't want to be Aaron Rodgers. He doesn't want to sit on the bench for too much longer. So if people know he's leaving, why would you offer a whole bunch for him? So I think that was the thinking.
Dev, they got offers. This isn't conjecture. They were offers.
So they got better ones.
Minimum. They got much better offers than what they settled for. Not that what they settled for wasn't a terrible offer, but they got much better. They had much better offers.
I mean, especially in today's NFL, because you don't have to prove anything to get a bunch of picks traded for you. Yeah, because Jimmy Garoppolo has played all of 6 quarters, so I don't want to go out there and act like he's gonna go to San Francisco and rip it up. Like I said, there's a chance we might find out that Jimmy Garoppolo ain't jack. But we will see. Quick thoughts on.
We're gonna find that out.
The Eagles. What did you think as an Eagle fan to see them pick up another runner when the big need was at left tackle and linebacker?
So again, I got to go deeper into the trade, and this has nothing to do with Jay Ajayi because I think he's a quality back who will give you much more tread on the tire than LeGarrette Blount.
Right.
So this year there'll be a 1-2 punch, and they've got to change your pace back. Actually, 2 of them. I'm cool with it in and of itself. The move.
I think it was a contingency plan for
Jason Peters is 35 years old. Jason Peters is 35 years old. For all intents purposes, what I saw of his injury, that's career-ending. Not because it's completely career-ending, but because he's 35 years old and 14 years in. He's too old to be rehabbing that. So why wouldn't you get a top 3 left tackle from Houston as not only stopgap for this year, but your long-term or medium-term replacement for at least the next 4 or 5 years to protect dude and keep Lane Johnson comfortable at right tackle until he's ready to make the transition to left. I don't understand why they can go after dude.
Yeah, but the why don't yous it's always easy to say that, and there's no proof that they didn't go after him. I think they went after every suitable left tackle who was out there. But if you look at what Seattle gave up to get him, we couldn't afford to do that. Seattle gave up a defensive back to get him. We've been thin on defensive backs throughout the whole season. Granted, these young guys are getting better, but we don't trust anybody enough to get rid of the depth right now. And plus, the way they were getting injured in the beginning of the season, we just couldn't afford to do that. So that's one guy out of the way. Joe Staley was somebody that they already had started talking to San Francisco about before we even played them on Sunday. Fletcher Cox injures Joe Staley during the game. So there goes strike two as far as left tackles we can look at. Because right now you can really only look at left tackles either in the situation of a Dwayne Brown where he's holding out and he just doesn't want to be there anymore because they're not giving him what he wants, or you can look at bad teams that have great tackles. And there were only two of those left. You had Joe Staley, who was injured playing against us, and last week you lost out on Joe Thomas because he got injured the week before in Cleveland. So I think the Jay Ajayi pickup was kind of a contingency plan. He's not going to take the place of a left tackle. We all know that. But he's a better pass protector than any running back the Eagles currently have on the roster. So
I thought about
I think that went a lot into
protection.
I think that went a lot into the thinking. I think you might see Jay Ajayi in on passing downs a little more than you would expect to, just because we don't have a great left tackle over there anymore. And the Eagles seem to be pushing all their chips into the table. This 7-1 start has them thinking the S word, and they're just going to go all in. So you need some kind of extra protection. And as big as LeGarrette Blount, big ass is, he ain't blocking nobody. Small with too small to block somebody.
He's terrible. What's wrong with LeGarrette Blount pass blocking?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
So the other big one, Kelvin Benjamin. Were you surprised by that? I was kind of surprised by it. People keep pointing out, though, Cam Newton had his best season when Benjamin was not in the fold.
Yeah.
So, he's not a Megatron level binky, but maybe if you take somebody that you can just throw it up to out of the game, maybe Cam Newton will start to spread it around a little better, maybe try to become more accurate because he has to. There's a lot of reasons behind that, but I still think it's weird.
What's funny? What's funny? It's a curious move in the short term, mid-season. It's very curious, but in the long run, you want to make Cam, you want to make him develop as a passer a little bit better, and you're hopeful that it's not too late because he is now at this point mid-career. Like, he's got probably as many behind him as he'll have in front of him. And so the question is, a good one. So your question is, if I get rid of him, does that make Cam have to spread the ball around, which is what we want, because now he has to make reads, has to make progressions. The second thing is, I'm not high, me personally, I'm not high on Kelvin Benjamin. Like, I see him as Dwayne Bowe.
Third tier,
at maybe. Yeah, and then I think that he develops maybe at his best if he put the work into a very good possession receiver at some point in his career.
He's not fast.
He's not going to blow by.
Not a router.
Yeah. Right.
Just big
so
and you can go
get the
ball.
Develop, and Cam isn't developing that type of relationship with him because he's not a great route runner. He's got decent hands, but I want for Cam Newton, I actually want a technically proficient route running dude with great hands that forces Cam to develop that skill of his game.
I was about to ask you, like, why do you want that? Cam needs you to stop so he can just drill it to you. Cam got to see you. He's much like your boy, Super 5.
I know he is, but he has to develop. Like, if I'm a coach, and I don't want to write him off, but I'm like, yo, you got to develop that because the Superman-ish that you're playing, that's not going to last long, man. That's not going to last you into your 30s because I don't care how, you're 6'5", 250. That's great. That is absolutely cool. But you're not going to stand the test of time against Father Time and NFL DNs and linebackers. It's just not.
But
you're fast for your size.
Listen, B, he's won an MVP and he's been in a Super
Mm-hmm.
Bowl. Do you think at this point of his career, coaches are like no longer interested in even trying to develop him? When you win an MVP and you go to a Super Bowl, you're pretty much set in your ways because you think what you're doing is working anyway. So coaches might be at a point like, it's no use trying to develop him into something that he's not at this point because he's had success being him. So he might not even be interested in learning anything new. Either way, we move on. It was kind of weird, but I can understand it too. And the last one, we have to talk about the trade that did not happen. When you get the Bungles and the Browns together, this is the kind of stuff that happens. And we can't even put this on the Bungles. They had a deal in place for the Bengals to send A.J. McCarron over to the Browns. And the Bengals sent in the paperwork to the league. The Browns were celebrating at the time and forgot to send the paperwork over to the league. They tried to appeal after the deadline, and the league said no. So the Browns, being the Browns, did this to themselves. Like I said, this is when you get the Bungles together and you get the Browns. And I said this when I was talking to Fred on Cover 2. Like, these are just the two teams that you expect this from. The Bungles, we call them the Bungles for a reason, even though this one wasn't really on them. And the Browns, they don't even need a nickname because the Browns, they are the nickname. Like, if I say something if I'm talking trash to you about your team and you root for the Eagles and I call them the Browns, that's the insult right there. So they don't need a name like the Bungles because they're the Browns, just being the Browns. So it's just amazing. The narrative that they set for themselves. It's amazing the narrative that they set for themselves. But then again, it may turn out to be the best for them because what the hell was A.J. McCarron going to do? Like, does anybody really believe in A.J. McCarron at this point? So, you might have saved yourself from one more bad quarterback pickup because they can't seem to get it right at that particular position. So, shout out to the Browns and the Bungles for browning it and bungling it up.
Kaiser makes one amazing play and 3 shoot yourself in the foot plays. Like, the arm strength is there. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Even the accuracy at some point, but then you're right, you trash because the next 3 plays are like, first of all, who are you throwing the ball to? Like, where are you going?
He trucked. All right, so let's we're gonna get into what happened this week while y'all were on the grind. But before we do that, just gonna give a stat of the week, and it's not really a stat of the week. It's kind of a question that I wanted to ask you guys. And Jimmy, we kind of talked about this off air briefly. I just want to know, as far as statistics go, since we do a stat of the week segment here, are we going too far these days with these beginning of the season / beginning of career, quote unquote? Somebody termed it reach stats in our War Room Sports Game Time group. I think that might have been the homie Hank. So shout out to him for reach stats. Listen, this is why I came up. This is why I came up with this question for you guys last night. Actually, this morning I'm watching highlights on NBA TV. So they're talking about, the Bucks come on. So they're talking about Giannis, and they say, well, Giannis was chasing history last night. And, I'm not really watching. I just have, this is background noise for me because, we're sports guys. So sports is background noise to me sometimes. So I'm not even looking at the TV. But I hear Giannis was chasing history last night. 38 points would make him the all-time scoring leader for the Milwaukee Bucks. So my head pops up real quick like, what? And then they said, through the first 8 games of the season. I'm like, really? We're chasing history now for the first 8 games of the season? I mean, come on. Victor Oladipo might very well be the top scorer of all time through the first 8 seasons for the Pacers. But he's Victor Oladipo, so nobody's even gonna bring that up, because if you look that stat up, it might be because Victor Oladipo is balling right now for the Pacers, and he might be in the same position. But because we're so excited about Giannis right now, we say stuff like this. Because we're so excited about Ben Simmons right now, we gotta point out that he's with Oscar with doubles, 10-10 and at least 5 assists through the first 4 games of his career. Y'all think we're going too far with this?
This is why Jimmy can say that it's revisionist history or nostalgia all you want. When you add media and social media and the climate of the people into this, no, man. No, it wasn't like this back then.
Culture of immediacy,
that's because we didn't have access to what it is. I think it's deeper than even sports. Big and statistics and analytics permeate society. I mean, this is kind of what Fortune ran with these days. So it's bigger than sports. It's just made it our world of sports. This is right now. So it is too much. But at the same time, I don't think it's going to slow down at all. It's going to get even worse because this is the kind of the world we live in. Listen, man, ever since the influence of Moore's Law, and now we have these computers that can compute these things on the fly and as much as we can. We couldn't do these things back in the day, be awesome. But now that we can, it's never stopping.
I told y'all after 6-7 games, Lonzo Ball is the Lakers' all-time leading scorer for players that come into the league with their own shoe and a white mommy and a black daddy. Lonzo chasing history right now, yo, and I think
here's the crazy part about some of these statistics: the way these machines and the way that big data is gathered now, you don't even have to look it up by having the data there. When you import the statistics, the computers are so smart now, and we have so much data, it's going to tell you that. So it makes it easier for someone on TV to say, "Hey, this is the most this and third." They don't have to go looking for these reaches. The reaches come to them.
Lonzo, the first Laker to score 9 points in a pair of Zo2s.
Yeah, I mean, this is what it is, man.
For a rookie that has 2 brothers.
This is exactly what it is. What are we doing? Because here's the thing: if the average person knew the amount of data that was kept on them, athlete or non-athlete, they probably would be scared to death. The fact is, when you collect data for everybody in the NBA, you put in where they're from, how many games they played, this, that, and the third. So the computers are kicking this information out. So
what kind of shoes they wear?
I think it's going to get even worse. The more that,
I guarantee you, Jimmy, it'll take us no more than 10 minutes to find out how many points Kobe Bryant scored in each pair of his shoes in the NBA.
And that's what I'm saying. So what I'm saying is, often it's just a timing thing, because back in the day, those games, people are crunching the numbers for those too. It's just a matter of putting the data in and then they crunch. So it's like we have analytics for guys to play analytics.
You're focused on the thing, but I'm talking more about the result. The result on the culture that ties to sports is trash. Like the result is trash.
That's if you want to say it. I mean, because here's the thing. Here's the thing. Sports, as we always say, is a microcosm of society. This is where society is. So you may say that it's trash, but I mean, they're basically doing nothing but filling time. We also come from a time where we didn't have to fill 24 hours of sports talk.
Okay,
product is a product.
I don't disagree. I'm not disagree. I wouldn't disagree with that. You're absolutely right.
So what you're saying is sports media is trash.
Yeah, of course. What I'm saying, you could also argue what I'm saying is that society is trash.
We're definitely saying that. That was the reason we got into this. That was the reason we do what we do, because we thought sports media was trash.
You're saying life is trash is what you're basically saying, right?
No, my life is
beautiful. Life is trash. All the stuff y'all saying, social media is making life trash because people are just doing too much on social media.
Let's rename this episode Life Trash.
Jim,
life is
Cardi
trash.
B was on the cover of Rolling Stones, man. Life is trash.
Yo, she got one song, beloved.
Exactly. Life is trash right now.
Yo,
Cardi B,
trash.
Michael Jackson rolling over in his grave, man. You know how hard and much I had to do to grace the cover of Rolling Stones magazine?
Yo, life trash. Yo,
Cardi B.
This episode, man. Forget the trade deal. Let's go on Life Trash.
Life is trash. All right, so real quick before we get into some more trash life, y'all can check out our website at warroomsports.com while you're there. Take your time, look around, click on that Contact Us tab. Send us a message about the company, the show, or to inquire about sponsorship, advertising, any other business opportunities with War Room Sports. For general inquiries, you can email us at info@warroomsports.com. But while you're browsing the site, just make sure you take your time and look around, buy some memorabilia, read some blogs, click the respective icons and tabs to follow all of our social media platforms. Subscribe to the iTunes podcast, watch our webcast at War Room Sports TV, listen to the network, or download our free War Room Sports mobile app on Android or iOS to get everything I just mentioned on the go. Right now, during the show, join the JW Philly Realty chat room at blogtalkradio.com/The War Room. To enter the chat room, just sign up for a free profile on Blog Talk Radio. But if you don't want to do that, you can sign into your Facebook and Twitter accounts. And while you're at it, make sure you click that follow button because that'll get you updates and reminders about the show. We'll be taking questions, reading posts from Facebook, Twitter, the chat room, the War Room Sports Game Time group on the GroupMe app, all of that during the show. But if you want to call in and speak with us, the Digital Extreme Technologies hotline is open. The number is 323-410-0012. Press 1 when prompted if you're already listening from your phone. Just press 1 if you want to talk. What happened this week, Jim, while we were on that Grizzy?
Yo, absolutely. First of all, shout out to everybody in line waiting for the new iPhone. I see lines across the country are drawn, so people are really sitting outside drawing. But anyway.
Hashtag life trash.
Y'all life definitely trash. Yo, life trash.
Life is trash.
Listen, though, man, for those who don't know, While You Were on the Grind is brought to you by DirecTV. If you like a better TV experience than cable has to offer, which includes a lot of the great sports packages that we talk about, go to DirecTV.com and cop up. It's that simple. Yo, the living legend, Thurgood Marshall, James Brown, Jackie Robinson. Some of y'all will get that. But Jackie Robinson, he first off, the crazy part about the Black Panther, yeah. Yo, first of all, what's interesting about this story is I didn't even know that Jackie Robinson had to wear a protective cap when he played. I mean, it makes sense considering he integrated the game at a time when, you know what I mean, you couldn't, fornicate with white women, as Mike Tyson said. But he wore a protective baseball cap, but it recently was auctioned off for a record price. It was several millions and millions of money. Someone bought that cap at an auction. But to me, the story wasn't even the cap selling at auction. It's just that I didn't know this was a thing.
Right. So because the story that they're trying to sell us is it sold for a record price. Somebody bought it for, $590,994. We're like, okay, good, that's what's up. Somebody got a lot of money and somebody got paid a lot of money. But it's so interesting, and it just tells you it's another sad fact, when you look back in the history of our country that this even had to happen. This was before batting helmets. Now, everybody wears a batting helmet now, but we all know it has nothing to do with the same reasons Jackie Robinson had to wear 3 protective plates sewn inside the lining of his baseball cap. We know why he had to do that, and it was because he, since he was the first black guy in the majors, the first documented black guy in the majors, see what I did there? He, there were a lot of racist white pitchers that did not want to, there was a lot of racist white people, teams, everything, fans that did not want to see him in the league, so they were afraid that he was going to get beamed in his head with 90-mile-an-hour pitches or 75, whatever they were throwing back then. But
dang, I went in a completely different direction. I thought somebody in the stands was going to try and peel his wig back. So
it probably was everything. The dude probably couldn't walk to the dugout without somebody trying to take a shot at him. It's just crazy. It's just another look back into the ugly history of America, and it just makes you mad that they're complaining about the things they're complaining about now. Like, this dude had to sew metal plates in his baseball cap, but they're worried about who's kneeling during the national anthem and who's not. Like, the
response is get over it. You guys don't have to do that now. It's much better.
Right. Now we all wear batting helmets because we all might get beamed in the head.
I mean, the crazy part is, man, like this story, another story. When you start to read our history and see how we really were treated, yo, and that's the thing. I don't think most of us do. I don't think most of us recognize just how evil slavery and Jim Crow was. I mean, we just don't recognize that, or the civil rights movement. You know what I mean? According to Mike Dicker, like, you know, everybody been oppressed. And,
Jimmy,
you know,
that's why it's so easy for people to tell people to get over stuff.
It was so evil that when you examine the definition of slavery and the role that it played in human societies, it's actually a misnomer and incorrect to define what black people in this country went through as slavery. It was not slavery. It was something much, much worse. You were trying to create a beast that you would never give any semblance of human rights to because you wanted a beast.
This is absolutely true. This is, I mean, when you start to read the history of buck breaking, when you start to read the even past then, right? So in more recent times, when you start to read the history
I don't
of
listen to the War Room to hear this. I want to hear about sports.
Well, life trash then. Your life trash. No, but this is the thing, right? So I mean, when you start to read these things, man, and I'm constantly reading history, so it's like you can't help but to be angry. You know what I mean? You can't help but to be angry, which is why I've taken a stance to not even debate the KFP. I can't even debate him anymore because I'm just too angry. But fact of the matter is, when you look at this story, to me it wasn't about the actual auction. It was the fact that he had to wear one of them, and it's just one of those stories I've never heard before. But I found it interesting and wanted to do more research on that. So
he was hit 9 times in his rookie year, Jim. And then he led the league the following season being
But
hit
when you watch
7
the Jackie
times.
Robinson movie, it's so tame compared to what he really had to endure.
Of course, they had to, they don't want to make themselves look that evil.
And of course, it had the great white hero, that saved his life. That's either here nor there. It's just that when you read
the Hollywood hero,
when you read what he really went through. Like when you read Ali and his words in his book talk about the stuff that he really went through and how now, he's a American hero. It's kind of funny. I can't wait to see revisionist history on the brother Colin Kaepernick because they're going to, have him, they're going to whitewash him and have him a hero in about 20, 30 years.
They're going to say that his mom, he didn't have a dad and his mom's family raised him. And he stood up.
But
he's gonna make him Martin. He gonna be Martin. They gonna act like they didn't hate him.
Martin.
Like they all act like they love Martin Luther King now.
Dog, Martin was getting sucker punched in the face, you know what I mean, and all he wanted to do was have peace and.
But we even talk about that, Jimmy, like the sucker punches and all, and the house bombings and all that. Bottom line, y'all murked him. Like he didn't die from natural causes. Y'all killed him. Like. What are we talking about? Acting like you love them.
I read a story about Dr. King today that I never knew. First of all, about how he was kidnapped a couple times by the government. But outside of that though, when he moved to Georgia, he didn't change his license within a certain amount of time. So instead of giving him a misdemeanor, they tried to charge the boy and put him on a chain gang for a year just for not changing his license.
That's real.
Had to get him off the streets, man.
I want to tell you, Jimmy.
He's a terrorist. Just like those Black Lives Matter people. He's a terrorist.
Dog, but when you read some of the stuff that Dr. King went through, you like, yo. Shout to Martin.
Let's move on.
I went through all that. I'd have my back on your name. My fault. Go ahead.
Shout out to Jackie.
Shout out to Martin, man. Rest in power.
Shot him.
I don't know how we turned the Jackie Robinson auction into a rest in peace shout out to Dr. King, but anyway, it's never a bad time to say rest in peace. It's never a bad time to say rest in peace to Dr. King, man. So rest in peace, man.
Shout out to Nat Turner. Rest in peace, Nat.
Yo, shout out to Nat Turner for his body of work. But refs walk off the field after high school football players kneel for the national anthem. The refs actually call themselves protesting. This is a father and son duo. What do you guys think about the refs making it about them?
Whatever. Because they're one of those people, when they get interviewed, they're going to say, they have the right to do that. Yeah, So, you know, if it was something they had the right to do, then why do you turn it around, make it about yourself, and walk off and mess the game up? Let me give you some of their exact quotes. They said what they are doing with this kneeling and everything, they have the right to do that, but the national anthem has nothing to do with them kneeling, and them kneeling really has nothing to do with them. He said the flag has got nothing to do with why they are protesting. If they want to protest, let them protest, but don't disrespect our country, the flag, and the armed forces. Here we go with this armed forces stuff again. And like they tell you that the flag has nothing to do with what they're protesting. Actually, it does. If you ever took the time to listen to 2 seconds of what Colin Kaepernick said he was sitting out the national anthem because the flag, those stars and stripes and everything it represents, wasn't standing up to its end of the bargain for what it claims to represent. So the flag has everything to do with why people are kneeling. But whatever. Y'all not gonna listen. I'm to the end of my rope like you, Jimmy. Like, I'm not explaining this shit no more.
Yo,
like, just can't, man. My bad. It's like it's like because you just come to the conclusion like these people can't be this dumb. They just don't care. They don't want to learn. So you can tell them 65 million times and give them great examples of why this has nothing to do with the military, and they're still going to say that. Stop disrespecting our armed forces. All right, man. Peace.
Well, that is the softest, most passive aggressive example of racism and white supremacy, where they feel as though they're not really exhibiting that because we're not as bad as the folks in the 50s and 60s and 1800s and 1700s. We just don't understand why you don't want to celebrate or respect our military. We don't want to whoop you. We don't want you to be slaves. We just don't kneel and complain. Life is better now for you people.
Mm-hmm.
You get to catch balls and run fast and jump high and get millions of dollars for it to entertain
sports.
Yo, man. So that's another one of those stories, man. FOH to them two dudes, man.
Clown.
Let me ask you guys about your man Jadeveon Clowney, because he wore a prison inmate costume. Yeah. Now, he said it wasn't a shot at his owner. It was just his Halloween costume, but
I wish it was.
But you need more people. Plus, you a coward anyway. You should have just should have just took that.
No, I thought at first that he needed more people, and then he played himself and opened his mouth to explain. So I'm not even for me, it was like I wish that was the case. Like you said, I wish he would have copped to that, because his owner, listen to me, the team owner of the Texans deserved for him to take that shot. Like, he deserved for him to take that shot for what he said. But Jadeveon Clowney went out of his way to tell people, quote, "Nah, man, it was just something to wear to a Halloween party. It was the only thing they had in my size." Really? That was his excuse. It was the only thing the store had in his size. So, like I said, he'd be a hero right now if he copped to doing that to troll Bob McNair. But the fact, I wore this. The fact that you are admitting that you didn't even make the correlation between the two is kind of embarrassing, if you ask me. It's embarrassing that he didn't even make the correlation between the comments and this costume that he just bought, because it was the only one that could fit him. So FOH to Jadeveon Clowney, too.
Yeah.
Coward.
I mean, so basically you're saying I do it because I'm not smart enough to do it, is what you're saying.
Basically.
That's basically what you're saying, man. Listen, man, last story we got to talk about this, man. I mean, this is probably the biggest story tonight. It really isn't, but for me it is, because pizza is life.
Pizza is life.
My man Papa John's, my man lost like $70 million in 24 hours, but he said that NFL
and he was talking about his personal stash too, so that's why he bitching.
the NFL. The NFL protests are causing his company to lose money because they're one of the big sponsors of the National Football League is Papa John's. So he basically is blaming. The funny thing about this is I saw what he exactly said, but I saw how the blogs picked it up, and it's just hilarious.
They
when you see like the
misrepresent
right wing blogs versus the left wing blogs, it's so the left wing. I saw one blog that literally said Papa John's CEO blames all black athletes on him losing money.
People
I was like,
Yo, but see, that's the kind of stuff that, like, as a black person, I don't like because I know there's a lot of naive people who are going to share it without even reading the story because I saw at least 20 people do it, and everybody's boycotting Papa John's at this point because they let these crazy media outlets say whatever they want to get you to look, but all you're looking at is the big print. You don't even go to read the story. Oh, Papa John's blaming it on black people? Oh, F them and their pizza. Like, seriously, Jimmy? I didn't know until the last 48 hours of how many people already thought Papa John's pizza was nasty. Like, first of all, I just think a lot of people need more people. If you don't like it, you don't like it. But I've never heard so many people, I don't like Papa John's pizza anyway.
I mean,
like, really?
I'm a pizza connoisseur. I think all chain is trash. Let's be honest with you. Like, all chain is trash. Some is
compared to real pizza, definitely.
Yeah, but most chains are trash. Like, I don't order from chain at all. Like, because here's the thing. When I was ordering from Domino's, it was strictly because I wanted to use their app because I didn't want to talk to anybody. But
listen, as our listeners,
everything Domino's does besides the pizza is the truth. Domino's is a business.
As you listen, these guys are pizza snobs. I just want our listeners to know I'm not.
Oh, absolutely. Me and Dev is about this pizza life. As a matter of fact, we just discovered that we're going on a
travel real far.
But to travel to try some pizza. I mean, we're going to Yonkers, but that's either here nor there. Fact is, though, ever since Uber Eats hit the building, and shout out to Tobias because he had made the same point. I don't order chain at all because there's no reason to order chain. Chain pizza is trash. I mean, chain pizza in general is trash. So, and shout out to the philosopher. Shout out to the philosopher Plies, who said the reason nobody eats your pizza is because your sauce tastes like medicine, bitch. As he said, bitch. But anyway.
He said medicine. Yo, see, but this is the thing. Out of the chain ones, because I gotta, as much as I do it, like I can't always go around and snob it, because I got little ones to feed, so I can get basically anything and they'll eat anything. So it's like out of the chain joints, in my opinion, Papa John, out of the four, I guess we're counting like Papa John's, Pizza Hut, Domino's, what else is it? Little Caesars, something like that.
Well,
I think Papa John's is the best
Little
one
to my
out of them.
If I had one.
But I eat Papa John's the least. Well, no, I eat Pizza Hut the least because I don't eat there at all anymore. But out of the three that I will buy pizza from, I eat Papa John's the least. But it's not because I don't like it; it's because it's too expensive.
You don't eat.
Domino's always got a deal.
You don't eat Little Caesars, cuz there's no way you. I wouldn't feed Little Caesars to any animal, though. I
will get a hot and ready if it's like if we got to rush and do something. I will grab a hot and ready and eat that cardboard just to nourish myself. And I fully admit, like,
to have Little Caesars.
Yeah, Little Caesars. Their CEO is a hero though. So you gotta support.
He got to do
even
all
if
that
you're buying it
to that trash
for somebody else. Because then they say he put he used to pay for Rosa Parks' apartment or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know what she was doing to get that, but maybe he was just a freedom fighter, or
I'd rather Toots box before I eat Little Caesars. Yo, that is trash.
Yo, I will grab a hot and ready because it's hot and it's ready. But,
Austin, I know.
But yeah, nobody likes Domino. I mean, nobody likes Papa John's all of a sudden. That's funny to me.
That was quick. Yo, Little Caesar's getting that.
Yo.
He's shutting him down.
Yo!
Everybody's trolling him right now. Even DiGiorno's trolled Papa John's on social media. Like, it gets crazy in these streets. Pizza Hut had something to say. The owner of Pizza Hut, What did they say? Because Pizza Hut really don't have room to be
honest to
talking
God,
to nobody right now.
DiGiorno's is better than Little.
Yeah, if you cook it right, if you don't burn it, DiGiorno's can hang.
Yeah,
see, but that's why, like you said, these are for desperate times and desperate measures. You know, if I want something better, I can hit up like Lido, or I can hit up somebody that makes like authentic New York pizza.
Yo,
it's so many.
DiGiorno's is like they're like the Boston Celtics, right? Like they're not a great team and they're not going to win the chip, but they can beat anybody on like a given night.
Mhm. Yeah. Like I said, it depends on the person who's cooking it. So,
that's
if you cooking like Kyrie,
yo,
I mean, you can put a nice DiGiorno's together.
All I'm saying is, ever since that Cavs lost, they 6-1 and the Cavs 2-5. But you ain't heard that from me though. But so Papa John's, man, you should be ashamed of yourself the way you carry yourself, because that's straight garbage what you speaking out here, man.
Yeah,
I can't believe you tried that though.
Terrible. I mean, it's a scapegoat move. I mean, to blame the NFL because, first of all, like the controversy behind it, like everybody wants to blame anything that's down, with the NFL on the protests. And really, if you're somebody who's protesting, you can really take this as a victory. We don't really have measures to tell us if it's really the protest or not that's hurting his business. But a lot of people kind of put people onto game when they started boycotting the NFL anyway, and saying boycotting the NFL isn't really the thing that's going to make a change. Actually, boycotting the NFL sponsors is going to what's going to make people's ears perk up. So if you have any of their major sponsors complaining, then you can take a bow, get your standing ovation, because that's a small victory. Now we'll sit around and see if Budweiser start bitching. Then they're
gonna blame Jamel for this. But
even
though we don't
she
know
told
yet,
everybody that too.
There's somebody in front of a computer who's right now doing the analytics, and what they're putting in is revenues of their sponsors, pre-Neil and post-Neil. So we'll have like 18,000 think pieces about it soon. So don't worry, it's coming.
Yeah, because the TV contract is set in stone anyway. So if we stop watching altogether, the NFL's still getting that money, so they don't care.
And what's that say about you?
When you get people like Papa John's and
man?
Budweiser who's threatening to maybe pull out, then or we got to renegotiate, then they're gonna start listening, and the NFL gonna be out there like Dr. King leading marches and shit.
What's that say about you as a businessman when that much of your revenue is positioned in that way anyway? Like,
boy, like I'm gonna put all my eggs in the NFL basket. We ain't gonna advertise nowhere else.
I forgot who it was though, but somebody was saying like, listen, man, the NFL, like, they think they bulletproof, but nobody's bulletproof in this world, man.
Nah.
Shout out to Sears, Macy's, Blockbuster, and everything we grew up with is out of here.
Gimbal ass dudes. Yep. So, all right.
Those
so Papa John,
ground, man.
Papa John, Jadeveon Clowney, the two referees. Who else? Who else need to get one of these? All of y'all. Y'all should be ashamed. Donald Sterling. Oh yeah, you can add in the boy who paid $591,000 for an old ass baseball cap. He in there too. You should be ashamed of yourself. But shout out to Jackie though. But you should be ashamed of yourself. Wrong with you?
Get some birthday
shout
outs, man.
Take it back where you bought it before. That's what I'd have told him. Take it back where you bring it back. Bring it back. All right, so some quick birthday shout-outs. Then we're going to go on to the NBA. I think everybody on the phone line hung up. Our bad. So the birthday shout-outs, of course, brought to you by Digital Extreme Technologies. Do you or your business need a custom website? Well, for dynamic, professional, and most of all affordable custom website solutions, you need Digital Extreme Technologies. No need to break the bank for an effective online presence, top-quality, results-driven websites at incredibly affordable prices, and yes, financing options are available. So visit digitalextremetech.com or call 267-205-4203, and for discounted rates, be sure to tell them that War Room Sports sent you.
My birthday, yay!
All right, this is going to be real quick because these birthday shout-outs is just as trashy as life is right now. So shout out to Sidney Ponson, who turns 41 years old. Born in the world of baseball. Orlando Cabrera turns 43. Shout out to him. Former offensive lineman in the NFL, Kevin Gogan, turns 53. And for all you wrestling fans out there, Abdullah the Butcher turns 76 years old.
Salute.
So definitely salute, because wrestlers don't usually live to be 76 years old. But we like to give a big War Room salute to all of these folks on their birthdays.
My birthday,
Salute.
yay!
Shout out. And y'all can check out our website at warroomsports.com if you want to call in and speak with us about anything, any topic in the NBA right now. It's a freestyle. So call in the Digital Extreme Tech Hotline, 323-410-0012. Press 1 when prompted if you're already listening from your phone. Just press 1 if you want to talk. You got it, Jimbo.
Yes, sir. With pop in the national.
All right, maybe you don't. I got it. You're getting tow trucked. No! Is your schedule too hectic to read as much as you want? We'll try audio books. Kick back, let someone else do the reading for you. All you got to do is visit Audible. Sign up for your free trial at audibletrial.com. In no time, you can be listening to the latest bestsellers, hands-free, stress-free, while getting other things done at the very same time. You can be driving, you can be running, you can be doing some other stuff too. But check out Audible. And shout out to Skyview One in the chat room who said, "Yo, the boycott is working." Ask Papa John. That's gonna be a rap lyric sometime soon.
Yo, there's got to be a bar.
Yeah, it's gonna be a bar sometime soon. So look, fellas, there's been a lot. The NBA season is in its infancy stages, but like we said, there's a lot of people chasing history every night because we're going overboard with the statistics and the comparisons to old eras and stuff like that. But there's been a lot of surprises in the league so far, good and bad. I know one could be the play of your Cleveland Cavaliers. Another can be just how fast some of these rookies are getting it. Ben Simmons, he had a year to sit around and be a part of the NBA culture, even though it was with a terrible team, so you can't really use that excuse for why he's balling so well. But you just got a lot of people doing a lot of stuff. You got the Greek Freak just coming on strong, making a case early in the season to jump into that MVP race. Not only that, jump into that best player in the league talk. What surprised you guys so far during the season? Is Cleveland the biggest surprise, or is it not that big of a deal because we know at some point they're going to get it together and so they'll dominate this conference? Is that still a thing?
It's not a big deal at all. I got Cleveland winning more than 50 games, more than 55 games. So
damn,
that's nothing.
55 when they already lost like. I don't even think Cleveland cares to win 55 games. I don't think they're willing to exert themselves anymore. I think they've, any LeBron-led team right now, I think they've come to the conclusion that this number one seed, this home court throughout, I think they've made the importance of that decrease heavily. So I don't even think they're interested in winning 55 games. I think they're just interested in going to the playoffs. The Cleveland Cavaliers can make it to the finals by being the 8th seed. And that might be an easier road for them because they can get the better teams in the league out of there real quick and end up playing people later in the rounds that aren't even supposed to be there because they got the big dogs out of there real quick, if the East even has a big dog.
Yo,
Y'all
man.
think there's any validity to that? To them not
I was
even
gonna say,
caring
what
about
dog?
that home court stuff?
Big dog.
I think also when you watch them play, it's something too with Tyronn Lue said. He just didn't communicate it very, very well. But they don't seem to mesh very well with all the new players. It's a brand new team essentially, and they have when you watch certain teams play, even if they're not one of the better teams, but they've been playing with each other for a while. There's certain chemistry they have, and they have no chemistry whatsoever. A lot of times when LeBron gets the ball, everybody stands around and starts to watch. There's no motion in their offense. Guys,
and a lot of the time he's been playing the point guard because Rose and Isaiah's hurt. I think Rose came back last night, so he gets some time off.
Guys look like they don't know where they belong on the floor. It just looks a mess to watch them play. I mean, because the thing is, they're losing, but they're not even losing in close games. They're getting smacked
by bad teams. They're getting smacked by bad teams, and that's another thing that we see so far this season. A lot of the teams that people expected to be bottom dwellers, and it's early in the season, they can still end up being bottom dwellers, are the teams that are, higher up in the conference right now. You got Orlando tied with Boston for the number 1 seed after 8 games, because 8 games are important, because Giannis is chasing history through 8 games. Orlando 6-2, number 2 seed, just off the tiebreaker with Boston. Indiana 5-3, the 3 seed. Detroit, the 4 seed, 5-3. Charlotte, the 5 seed, 5-3. Toronto, number 6. Washington, number 7. Milwaukee, number 8. Philly, number 9 at 4-4. Cleveland is not even in the playoffs right now through 8 games,
crazy.
And we know
because
they're the 13th seed right now through 8 games.
I don't know how long this will last, but the one thing I can say about watching all these games in the beginning of the season is we talk about this. It seems like we talk about this every year, and we have for the last 7 years, how the game is changing. But now it's like it's seeming to have completely changed where it's went through this metamorphosis where now the game is all about these tall, thin, lanky players who can run, jump.
Who need sandwiches.
Yeah, they all need a meal, but they're completely athletic and they can run and jump. Fundamentals, not so much. They can shoot threes, but not foul shots. It's like anybody can be anybody on any given night. It's kind of weird the way the league is structured. There's no defense at all. The score is like 140.
That's a high quality. That's a high caliber game to you, Jimmy.
Remember,
it depends upon how you look at it, because some people love scoring. So when someone puts up 150 versus 125, a lot of fans enjoy that. When they see a bunch of 3-point shooting, people don't watch this. People don't want to see the Spurs play. As successful as they was and as fundamentally sound as they were, boring.
Jim, do you remember a day when, you couldn't be you couldn't be like a starting NBA center if you didn't have back to the basket game, or if you couldn't play some defense, block some shots. Now you can't be a center if you can't shoot a 3. That's crazy. You got dudes out there like 7'4", smacking threes like Porzingis.
All we
weird.
want to see is people be awesome. It's all about the highlight, man. It's like, you can't put fundamentals on IG. We want to see somebody get dunked on, a couple 3 shots, and somebody get
You want to see somebody get tween, round the back, cross it over, come back over here.
Skip to that lane.
Behind the back, finger roll.
That Larry Bird Jones. He was like, ain't nothing down there, get up. Come on, man.
But that's what we need to see, though. We don't need to see fundamentals. We want to see skip to that lane. Yeah. Anyway, but that's what I'm saying, though. So the fact of the matter is, man, the game has completely changed. It's weird because, there's no defense. I mean, look at Phoenix. Phoenix won 5 straight.
Phoenix is not bottom dwellers anymore. But after 3 games, their coach got fired. They're damn near their best player, maybe second best player, is out on the outs. So they're sitting at 4-4, in 10th place right now. But they were a team a week ago we thought they were going to be hard-pressed to get their first victory. We thought they were going to be in that New Jersey Nets territory back when they were in Jersey, and they didn't win a game till, like, game 23. Like,
and I'm telling you, it's because of the 3-point shot, too. Phoenix all of a sudden.
Yo, they lost by, like, 50, man. How you lose by 50 and then run off 4 straight?
That's what I'm saying. Yo, the 3-point shot is the ultimate equalizer because there's some of these teams out here, right? If their 3-point shot is off, they're going to lose by 40. But if they're making their threes, they're going to win by 40. It's
and of
weird
course,
as hell.
We're exaggerating. You know, they're on a 2-game winning streak, but before their last loss, they won 2 games. So
exactly.
They're
so
sitting
they
at 500 right now.
2 out of 5?
It's crazy. Yeah, like the Phoenix Suns who panicked and got rid of their coach after like 2 games because he wasn't chasing history after 2 games. He was chasing negative history. The first coach in NBA history to get fired after 2 games. But, yeah.
So I mean, the league right now is kind of crazy. I think the biggest story in the entire NBA is Denise is still with Melo. She's been hanging in there. So I mean, you know, let's see how long that lasts. That's one of the biggest stories.
And even speaking of them, like, they're not even, you know, it's taking them a while to gel. Like, they're sitting at 4-3. You're looking at their schedule, like, who are they supposed to lose to in the first few games? So it's just a lot of surprises, man. New Orleans, as much as we talk about them and as much as we see Boogie and Anthony Davis getting down on the highlights every night, New Orleans 3-5.
Yo, New Orleans is
3 spots up from being the worst team in the league.
Yeah, their 2 best players average 30 and 15, but they can't win.
3-5. They're in 13, and they got the 13th seed right now.
Everybody else on the roster only scores 15.
My man King Kuzma and the Lakers are above the Hornets right now. The Pelicans, Fly Pelican.
Yo, they get their numbers though.
They definitely.
Yeah, we may not win. We're gonna put these numbers.
Get their numbers. They keep saying, wait till Rondo get back. I'm probably going to get worse when Rondo get back.
Yeah, I forgot Rondo was with them boys.
Yeah, so it's been a lot of surprises lately.
How Rondo go from being like, you know what I mean, on the championship team every year and then being that guy to like just being a journeyman at this point?
Journeyman, yeah. He got no J.
Attitude.
And lack of J. But, yeah, I think eventually the cream will rise to the top. Like, I can't see Orlando hovering around this 1-2 spot or Indiana, you know, for that much longer. So I think everything will right itself.
What do you think about the Celtics? Because outside of that one Cleveland game, they look legit even without, Gordon.
No, I think they do,
they're
too.
legit.
When I watch them play B, they make me think, like, man, maybe they were on something being so upset that Gordon got hurt. Because I was like, all right, it's definitely a hurt piece. But they're going to get smacked anyway by the Cavs. Like, the Celtics have a chance in the East is because their young guys play well, and mainly Jaylen Brown. Like, Jaylen Brown doesn't care who's guarding him. He's going to try to kill him.
He's going to go at you. I give the Celtics, even with Gordon Hayward's foot turned the other direction, I give the Celtics a chance to be 5 through 7 seed. Like, still, they're gonna be in the playoffs easy. And then, 7? As you said, it's
5 through 7.
5 to 6.
He just disrespected them.
Yeah, you're bugging, yo.
They on a 6-game winning streak already.
No, they was the number 1 seed last year.
They beat San Antonio. They ain't just knocking off bad teams either.
But the thing is, they were the number 1 seed last year, and they added Barry.
Yeah, but
their young guys got better, and they got a good rookie.
They lost Gordon. They didn't have Gordon last year.
I think they got rid of 2 glue guys though, and Crowder and what's your man name? The shooting guard that's in Detroit now.
Avery Bradley.
Those are 2 guys that
the young boys stepped up though.
Right. No, they definitely did. Next man up wasn't just a cliche in the Boston locker room. Because if I was a Boston Celtics fan, I would have been a little skeptical about losing those 2 guys. But like you said, Jaylen Brown and Tatum playing well.
Next man up.
And their Hispanic center with no facial hair. Like, Boyle's been playing well too.
They got the ball that Tommy Heinsohn be looking at in the shower. So
yeah, so
they're in a good position, especially if Cleveland want to keep playing like life is trash. They take advantage.
Salute to Jaylen Brown, because you should have been a Laker instead of Ingram. Because Jaylen Brown tries to dunk on people even on 3-point shots. Like, he tries to dunk everything. Salute to the whole league, man. We got to get out of here, man. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for joining us for another briefing in the War Room. Shout out to everybody in the chat room, Facebook, Twitter, the Game Time app. Everybody who called in and got through, thank you. Those we couldn't get to, we apologize. Tune in next week, live right here on demand on the WRS Podcast Network. Talk more NFL, more NBA. Listen, enjoy your weekend, enjoy your week, and we'll see you right back here next time. Salute to all the great pizza places out there. Catch all of our conversations and everything we do, and also pick up my book, Sports the Book, at warroomsports.com. That's the hub, warroomsports.com. Don't forget, as we always say, never, ever accept mediocrity. Be steadfast in the war against ignorance, and we'll see you chumps on top.
Holla!
Jimmy, know the blueprint. Every Thursday, 6 to 8, they do this. Shout out to Dev, PJ, B. Austin, Bay on replay. WarRoomSports.com. Get that mobile app. If not, dial 323-140012. They be going and you sensitive, then oh well. Physical podcast, let's talk sports. Showtime like magic in the block push. Listen live, push one to join in. Rip your team or listen for your enjoyment. Hip hop scholars, pit stop and knowledge. Should be in sports credits, I ain't talking college. 5 guys, no beef though. Worth it, secret, but the streets know. Belafonte, I got a G flow. KC, royalty, I'm in beast mode. 2 hours, get your game up. Who's the best in sportscast? You better name us. War Room Sports. Yeah, you know, Jimmy, Dev, PJ, Top Back, B. Austin. I'm Chop. Up and coming on the beat.
War Room Sports, www.warroomsports.com. What? Ain't no more to it.